It is live. Welcome.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to yet another learning space or a learning session. So, today we are going to talk about personal branding. When I say personal branding, what is it first thing hits your mind? Think about it. What is it first thing which hits your mind when I say personal branding? To put it in a very simple layman's term, personal branding is nothing but what is it you want to be known for. Different individuals will have different expertise. How do you want to project that outside to the world? And what is the story you're going to tell behind your brand? If you go back taking other brand stories, let it be Apple, let it be Google, if you take up any brand for that matter, it can be in IT, it can be in technology, or it can be even in fashion. What is the brand story you want to say, or how do you want to project yourself in terms of your naming, the way you name your brand, the colors which you use for your brand? There are different aspects, different factors to all these things when we talk about personal branding. And majorly we need to start thinking as to what is the purpose, what is your why of that particular showing that particular brand in such a way. Take, for example, if you take this show called Band Baja Bride, how many of you have heard of it? Anyone here has heard of it? The show called Band Baja Bride. What is the story they are projecting themselves outside? There are certain things which you can start thinking in the lines if you want to start your personal branding journey. Is that one, your name of your brand? What is the name? What do you want to be known for? Second, the tagline or the uh, you know the short phrase or that short 4 5 sentences tagline which we use. Say, for example, if you take up a brand like Nike, they project themselves as just to do it, or different taglines what they use for their brands. Taglines is something else which we need to think of. And then we need to think of is the why, the mission, the vision, the purpose. There are different aspects to these, and these comes from brainstorming your ideas or sitting and having that discussion with your close or your loved ones. That's where this personal branding starts. Majorly, what kind of experience or what is that you want to project to your audience? That is what this comes from. Or let's say that when you take up a personal brand, when you take up personal branding as a segment, you'll be projecting your brand in one way when you look at on an outlet front or on an office front, you'll be projecting it in a way. But if you want to give that same impact online also, there's a different strategy to it, and we need to see how we are going to project that. So, just a quick question, or whoever is listening live from today with us, or today, whoever is being live with us, tell tell me or give me an example, or if you have your own story which you want to share here, is that what does your brand talk about you there? If I have to ask you, or if I have to ask our audience later to comment in the comments that what kind of a story or what do you want to project outside to the world? Anyone wants to answer this right here, right now? Anyone here wants to answer it? No one? Learning. Okay, let's take this as a platform, or this channel, this YouTube channel as an example. Many people start YouTube. Many of them do use YouTube for different things. Many use it as an income, a source of income, which many has different stories to say. If you take this particular platform where uh, it has been encouraged to call up different speakers, conduct different sessions. It's basically a learning platform where you come, experiment, you learn different things. It has its own stories to say. Different individuals, different people come and take sessions on different things. But we learn. The way I take a session might be different from the way another individual takes. But yet uh, it's a learning source for all of us who's listening, who will be listening to this later. See, majorly, we need to ask that kind of thought provoking questions to lead to the right answers. Now, if you go back and check with yourself, or check it, or think about it later, for personal branding, you will have a different definition. If you go ask a third or fourth standard child, he or she will have a different definition. But if you ask a young adult or young teenager, they'll have a different definition. But as adults, we'll have a different way, or we'll have a more redefined way of putting it. And majorly, we need to think of why does it matter, or what is that particularly we want to showcase in our, along with our brand. And how can we have that impact using the color, using the logo, using different factors to personal branding. How many of you go to a cafe to eat food, or how many of us here go out to eat food? Just go like that. When we order something, do we eat physically first, or do we eat with our eyes first? We eat, it has to be visually presentable. It has to have that visual, that color, texture, different textures mixed together. There are different aspects to it. Only that comes in a combination. Then when it's visually appealing, when it's visually presentable, you tend to buy that food and eat. If it's not presentable, will we go and buy it, or will we go even taste it? No. So we need to understand what is our core values with your brand, or with yourself. If you're projecting your name, yourself as a brand, what is that value, core value you want to carry with you? Is it integrity? There are different aspects to it, which people discuss it on a different session altogether. But we need to understand what is our core value. Then comes with your strengths and your skill sets. Even for that, your competency. What is it competency you are sharing? Or what is it competency you have? Without knowing these things, without knowing our target audience, if we come to a conclusion of, okay, this is what we are going to do, but we are targeting the wrong target audience, your branding is gone. And the way you position it yourself, or the way you want to position yourself, what is your USP? Because giving them that, crafting a concise and compelling personal brand statement. If I give you a couple of minutes, can you, whoever is listening now, whoever is going to listen later, can you comment your brand as brand statement, what you want to, project to the world? Anyone here wants to share?
Yeah, for Maven, it is learning for all, like we all learn.
Learning for all. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? No?
Here, we all are individual. So also, can you share personal branding in terms of an individual may or may not
Okay.
be
Okay. So
the
we spoke about a lot of things here right now, where when you say, when you take it on an individual level is something, there are different ways to it. Sometimes when I start branding, or when I start, maybe you can take your name of your initial, or the first letter in your name, and maybe add an adjective to it. Maybe that's how you call, you brand yourself. And consistently, what you're talking to your friends, your family, or whoever you meet in person or online or through a conversation on a call. Say, imagine you have a couple of minutes or couple of seconds, you're meeting that person in the lift. How do you go introduce yourself or create that elevator pitch about yourself? Say you have hardly 30 to 60 seconds, just the other person is going to get down into the next floor. How will you go introduce yourself? If I have to ask you or later comment it down below this video, what is that elevator pitch you'll be giving, or what is that, how would you introduce yourself in just in the span of few seconds? Think about it. We'll come back to that discussion on another session altogether. Any questions till now?
yeah. You can suggest like how to do it. Most of the time we talk about what we do when
Okay.
when we are talking.
See, how to do is the first step for that is to, create your own elevator pitch. When I say elevator pitch, you know what you're good at. So using that, we need to start creating a 2 to 3 lines or 4 to 5 lines kind of a self introduction. Say for example, if I have to tell you, to let people know about your own YouTube channel, how will you project it in a 30 to 60 seconds kind of in a manner? Think about it. See, this doesn't comes in a day or two. It doesn't comes overnight. It comes with a lot of trial and practice and different aspects to this, because this does not happen overnight or something. Because mostly my topics or the way I project the sessions are a little thought provoking, because first you need to have that right kind of mindset for thinking or doing things. Without that, no session, nothing will become effective, because this is majorly I talking here more than an interactive session. So we need to start asking the right kind of questions. Because sometimes we are not clear with what we as an individual or from an organizational level, we are many a times we are not clear as to what we want. Can a couple of you raise your hands as to how many of you here are clear with what kind of target audience you want to focus on, or who's your target audience? How many of you are clear with it? Or you're very specific that, okay, this is a group of target audience I want to focus and train them on.
Like for even anyone who is interested in learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Majorly, we need to start thinking in those lines, because if you're not, if see, not everything is everybody's cup of tea or coffee. Not everything is for everyone. So we need to understand what is a niche, and depending on that, we need to start. There's a difference between, there's a fine difference between marketing and branding. And different people put it in different ways. Majorly, I think that, marketing is on a, a shorter term basis kind of it comes to. But in branding, it's more of a long term projection which you give to the people out there who's known to you, who's gonna come to know about you. It's all about that. And majorly, I started with a why. See, it's a kind of experience you give to people. Say you go for a, you go on a, you go visit a restaurant or you go visit a hotel. The experience takes you back to the same place again, isn't it? Majorly, it's the experience what takes back you to the same place. Nothing else. Or the way the people treated you there, or the way the people welcomed you there. That is what is going to take back you, isn't it? And we need to create that kind of a customer experience for people who come to us or whom you will be visiting it later. Yes, no.
Yes, that is so true. We don't think like that, but yeah.
See, because people can forget as to what we talk, what we say, but they'll not forget as to how you made them feel at the end of the day.
So true.
Say, for example, I'll give you a couple of examples. You walk into a, say, example, you're walking into uh, two different set of hotels, and one hotel gives you a pleasant experience, one hotel doesn't. Or it might be having the same quality standards, but the way people treat you there makes that difference. It completely makes the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, it happens, even if someone is charging more also, then you are willing to pay because you like the whole uh, uh, experience of it.
Mm. Many a times, what happens is that we know things. Unfortunately or fortunately, when it comes to our the way we uh, project or the way we groom ourselves to that, and the way we project, or there's a clash, or there's no that congruency between the internal and the external self. And that's where I introduce this concept of image consulting, where we bring your internal strength or your internal belief system, that confidence physically in you. I'll explain you as to what is image consulting in the next session, where I will be talking about more on power dressing as to how you can use your grooming or the way you wear your clothes to bring in that confidence, to create that walk the talk, because you need to be that wherever you go. It's not just about you what you say in words, but you need to be that. And that's where the transformation starts, when you bring your inner self with your outer self. We'll be talking more about that on the coming sessions as such. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah. So you mentioned a very important point, like bringing, internal and external belief system into alignment and making them talk
Yes.
to it.
Yes.
So would you like to suggest any way to do it? Like, because sometimes we are just not aware why someone is disturbed, and it is maybe because of lack of balance or lack of incongruency, you can say, because of that. So if you can suggest any technique that we can do to align.
Okay. Thank you for bringing up that question. One simple thing. We experience, or we go to different situations, we go to different places, we go to different occasions with different people. What is the message you want to give? Say, for example, you're going for a training to a to a college for a training. Because commonly trainers or this like-minded people join for this kind of sessions. So I'm taking this as an example. When you go to a college students to take a training for college students, will you go in all this bold colors with full formal suits? Will you go in this, or will you go little with a pleasant colors, with little, you know, casually dressed? How would you go? We might end up going in a little casually dressed so that those students feel approachable to us. So, what is it kind of message do you want to give? Do you want to give a message of authority? Do you want to give a message of approachability and flexibility there? So, if you want to give that space of authority, or when you want to give that space of, okay, I am in power, so you need to wear something bold but not too bright. Basically, very simple, I'll tell you. Take an occasion, think of what kind of message you want to give project to people, because even before we open our mouth, our physical appearance puts it all for in front of you before we start even talking to people. So what is that kind of message you want to give to people, and accordingly groom yourself. That's where I, or majorly this image consultants comes into play, or majorly I come into play, is that we bring this congruency in you, or this alignment in you. And even styling yourself as an art. This is a different segment. This is, I've just put it in very cut short and in brief, for that, so that it's easier for people to understand, is that the kind of message you want to send out to people, and that's where this congruency or this coming with alignment comes in. And this requires a lot of steps. One simple step is that you can start using your wardrobe neutrals, basically, which is your all your pastel shades, or little on the darker of your pastels, not too bright. Does that give you some kind of insight to as to start with?
Mm. So pastels are more approachable than the darker one, is it?
Yes, because what happens, the more you go darker, it becomes too authoritative. Because psychology has also its own, colors also have psychology.
Yes, yes. Mm.
So that is there. Yes. Because see, every topic which I take up, it's itself is an ocean of, it's a vast area to be discussed. So all these things will not complete in one, just a very small segment. It doesn't get completed. So we'll be doing it in parts.
Great.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Deepak, Neelam ji, anyone? Any questions? Samina?
Mhm.
Because I prefer having a very interactive session, because just one way talking sometimes it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So, can you give our tips to make sure how to know, whether our personal branding is right, where we want it to be, or just to identify, or if it is not aligned?
Okay. See, here there are two things which we'll have to think of. One, as I said in the beginning, what are the values you want to carry with your brand? The value system which you want to carry. And um and again, the kind of experience you want to give to the people. For this, I would suggest you, uh, you know, go back, recheck with your values or your core values as an organization which you carry, and start writing why you started this brand. These are the two things which you can look into to see if things are in alignment with your brand. Or are people getting the same experience as to what you are thinking you want to give? Does that answer your question to give it a kickstart?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go back, think. The easiest thing to do is start writing your whys. If your why is stronger, things will start unfolding. And at end of the day, I've seen one thing is that no matter in what situation we are in, no matter where we are in, the two main factors which I've seen in personal branding or where in any industry for that matter is discipline and consistency, which majorly people fail doing or becoming in that. Or sometimes I myself have seen that as a difficulty or the challenge which I face. Sometimes certain months we create 50 customers, certain months we create 20, certain months we go back to 50, but we have never thought of like retaining that 50 customers is more difficult than getting 10 new customers in the brand on the from the market. I don't know how many of you will agree with it, but I feel that is the reality. Retaining someone with your brand is more difficult than getting new people. So we'll figure out base for that also in in further upcoming session. So next week I'll be going and talking about, or in the next session I'll be talking about power dressing. Come back to it. Go back thinking as to, if you feel, go back listening to this video again, so that it gives you a better picture or a better clarity. If you again still have questions, we'll get on into a discussion later.
Yeah. Also, sometimes, Darshini, when we do different things, and those different things have different means interest, values, experiences, everything. So, how to balance them?
See, we have different roles, different things which we do on a regular basis. Okay, say for example, you have 2 to 3 different business or things which you do on a professional front. We need to might be start setting aside time and space, or we need to do that calendar blocking or time blocking, so that we end up doing what we want to do.
But sometimes switching between the brands because the two will project different, branding kind of thing.
See, first we need to understand what is your mainstream, or what is that mainly you want to focus on. The rest, one or two, you can keep it as a side hustle where, see, you cannot become master of everything, but you can just keep it as a side hustle where you don't deep dive, but you have that skill in you.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
don't take all that 1 or 3 items as your mainstream. You'll not be able to focus. You only keep your main object or your main picture in focus, and blur the whole other of the things what comes in your way, because you cannot, or you need to know what is your priorities. If you have understood your personal front very well, then you can manage your other things going forward. Because yes, uh, ecology and your environment, when I say the ecology and environment, is that the people and your environment, the surrounding which you are in, also affects the growth of your successes. Are you among people who degrade you, or are you among people who motivate you, who stands with you in your good and your bad times? and who gives you a constructive feedback, because criticisms and constructive feedback is needed for our growth. Are we with the right kind of people is the question, because it's not just us, there's an ecology which we are evolved, which we are in, and there's an environment also which we are in, and we need to make people understand in our environment that this is what we are doing. Many a times we don't think about this ecology or our environment as such.
Yes.
See, I'll give you a very simple thing, or a very uh, a realistic example is, there's a huge forest, okay, and in that forest you have lot of birds, animals, and things like that, which has been, it is its own habitat, right? There, if you go cut down the trees, if you start building up buildings there or constructing buildings there, do you think that animals or that birds is gonna go away from that place?
I mean, partly yes, partly no, because that's what is happening in reality. And that's how we see more animals in cities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you bring up something else in that habitat, that's what is gonna happen, because that's where birds and animals have been, right?
Yes.
And you cannot, make them go away, because that is its habitat, and that is where they're gonna come back to. I'm saying, when you start something, start it, but believe in yourself and start. You will make your own group of people, of customers with that. I don't know if I'm
Yes.
making sense, but see, with before you start anything, that belief you need to have, which many of us don't have it. It's a hard reality sometimes. The sessions which I take, it might be a very hard reality to accept, but that is the reality.
True.
But slowly and steadily, we need to start accepting certain things. We need to do that.
Yeah.
Any, if no questions, I think we can call it a session.
Mhm.
Or, because see, going in depth or too much in deep also will not give that effectiveness of the session.
Yes. So anyone else has any question? Samina ji, Needam ji, Deepak, Vasant ji. So I think everyone is happy with
I
what
think
of
so,
that.
hoping so.
No, yeah, because sometimes, yeah, this topic also need us to think about,
We need to do our homeworks and come back, so that, think questions get clearer more than vague questions.
Mhm. Yes,
Yes.
awesome, perfect. So yeah, we can finish if there is no more questions. But it was really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For covering it.
Thank you.